Can you swim with gold in a dark pool? I'll answer that question, and we'll talk about the ripple effect that could come from it in this video as we explore. Now that opening may sound a bit cryptic, but I'll explain exactly what I'm talking about because I learned something, looking over the interwebs about what's going on, and there's a bit of history that has been made that likely will rock the foundations of the gold market. If this thing does turn out to be true, and it sounds like it is, according to some statistics here shared over on X by several respected accounts there, as there has been the largest trade ever made on the SPDR Gold Shares Trust. This is something else. And the thing is, it was done in secret, behind closed doors, in what's known as the dark pool. And this was done just a few days ago. GLD printed an important block on the dark pool on August the 26th. And this is the largest, it's an absolutely amazing amount of money, almost $1 billion worth, $998,656,000, a volume of 3,200 or 3,200,000 shares of it, with a price of $312.08 per share. This is something, it is ranked at number one. The size of it resides in the 100 percentile of all trades for this ticker, going back to the 11th or the 18th of November 2004. Its relative size is 107 times larger than the average size, and it's the largest trade since it began. This is something else. And these gold imports, this gold trade is the largest in history, in GLD history. Now, the thing is it hasn't had much impact on the price, or any impact on the price. And that is why you likely did not notice what's going on there with it. And obviously, it's not going to be cashed out. It's going to be cashed out. If it were to be cashed out, it's going to be cashed out for just that, cash. It is essentially exposure to the price of gold, not gold itself. And so it makes me, though, wonder, you would think a big purchase like this would have a dramatic impact right away on the price, and it has not. And so that is a little perplexing here, especially since we don't know the source of what's happening here as well, of where this has come from. Now, we do know the source of something that happened on the SLV and the SIL that I reported on recently that also did not have a dramatic impact on the price, if not any at all. And that is a known entity that has bought into, and that is a central bank. Yeah, the Saudi central bank, and I talked about that in a prior video, but that did not shake the foundations of the silver market. And it was a big enough move. It was a big enough number. Now, obviously, it wasn't the largest, but still, the fact that they made that purchase of those shares really should have moved it at least some. And if there was kind of movement, we didn't really notice it. There was not much to speak of. And the same thing with this situation, even though it's the largest. Now, the last time I think this happened was in 2018, but it was much, much smaller of trades that were done. And I really don't understand why that is the case. But this largest trade in history occurred, and it makes you wonder, who is it? That's what it means to be in a dark pool. It's an unknown buyer. And so you can swim with the gold shares, but not gold itself, because you're not cashing out for gold. But we know that there's something that's happening. Central banks and more are loading up on physical gold. But what's going on here with the with this paper gold version of gold? And it's pretty amazing. And there's not much more information I've been able to find about this trade other than one account here that has covered it fairly extensively and has a theory behind what's going on with it. But I think in order for that theory to really play itself out, gold's price would need to increase fairly dramatically. And I'm going to go through what this theory is here. But before I do that, I want to remind you of channel sponsor here. The channel sponsor is Summit Metals, and they have physical gold. Yes, if you want to get the real stuff, check out Summit Metals and experience their excellent customer service and fast shipping there at summitmetals.com. So this is from King Kong 9888. He says, remember how sovereign central banks' physical gold became the backstop? They were borrowing physical gold from foreign central banks to fulfill the LBMA spot contract obligations. This can potentially be someone, in other words, the person who made this trade, who needs physical gold badly. So they are raiding the GLD physical gold stash by directly buying GLD shares to sell back or redeem with GLD for GLD physical gold. So this may be a way to get physical gold through that avenue, but I don't know how that would work. He says they could have borrowed GLD shares to sell back or redeem with GLD for GLD physical gold. But I really don't know if physical gold is not, I don't know, I guess to get the gold out of the stash of the vaults there. But that would expose them to price volatility risk, especially now considering that the price has not really reacted a whole lot from this. In fact, I'm recording this video in the after hours, and right now gold is up slightly. It is right almost at $4,000 or $3,400 an ounce. In fact, it's only 90 cents away from that. And it could be that this move has just buoyed up gold to keep it north of where it had been, which is in the $3,333 range for so long. We've now pushed up beyond that, and this very well could have been just enough to tip it past that point of kind of stagnancy that we've been seeing in the gold market here recently. So I don't know exactly how this is going to play out from here, but if it was to buoy up the price of gold and maybe set a new support to move it up, then potentially they may not even need to get exposure to actual physical gold, because I don't know how they would do this. According to this theory from King Kong 988, I guess it is possible. But if they want physical gold, shoot, they could just go into the market like all of us do. They could buy from Summit Metals and grab a whole bunch of gold. In fact, there's some dealers that have got even contract-sized bars from which you could buy if you really wanted to. You call them up and they can make that happen. So I don't know. But I would think if it was an unknown buyer, that means we don't know what their motivation is, and maybe perhaps it is to prop up the gold price and then sell at the right time, essentially to a point where we could see a major pullback from here. It could be strategic buy. Why else would they keep it private? Who knows? And it could be even a central bank or a series of central banks in the BRICS nations, entities behind that, in order to buy more physical gold when the price goes down, because they sell all of these shares. But that is a thing, and maybe that's what he's getting at here in a roundabout way. That very well could be the situation at hand. But it is going to be very fascinating to see how this plays out. What is the reason for the move, and why hasn't it moved gold's price much more than it has? I do think that it can't do anything. It can't hurt the price of gold, that's for sure, because they've got to scramble to back that gold, at least that GLD, with some physical. That's a massive trade. 3,200,000 shares. That's an amazing volume there. So we're going to watch it. We're going to keep an eye on it. And there's other news as well that kind of supports a higher gold price at this point. It's just that gold's price has been pegged up so high to the point now where it's been trading very near the all-time high when adjusted for inflation for so long now that people, we're in uncharted territory from this point on. For sure, because we're trading at prices that we've not seen since 2011, well, really since 1980. when those high prices of gold followed silver at the time. And so we're going to keep an eye on all of this. But what I like to do is give you the latest news and context, what's behind it, some of the theories as to what could be happening in the gold market. So if you enjoy what I do here, I hope you will consider subscribing to the channel. And when you do subscribe, press the notifications bell so that you can be apprised of the latest video that makes its way across your device. And understand that I do post daily content. I like to keep up with the news and what's happening, but I also like to do analysis and also oddball stories about other things with regards to precious metals. So there's a lot of content here, and I hope you enjoy some of it. And I appreciate each and every one of you being here and watching the channel. So let me know what your thoughts are about this particular story in the comment section down below. And with that, I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to each and every one of you for taking the time to watch, and to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.